Oh boy. All right. So I read Norwood by Charles Portis. This copy of Norwood is from Library of America. This collection came out this year, and it has all of his books in it. His books are Norwood, True Grit, which is probably his most popular, The Dog of the South, Masters of Atlantis, and Gringos, as well as short stories and essays and some other things he did when he was a journalist. Norwood is one of the funniest books I've ever read. And I say this book is an easy read, not because it's simple or like young adult level. It's just, it's funny and it's extremely well written. The only other Portis book I've read is True Grit, which is an absolute masterpiece of a book. And I think that most people would agree it's generally considered one of the best American novels. But this is just so damn funny, and it just flies by, and it's hilarious, and it's a very similar, like it seems like Portis writes picaresque sort of novels. And you got this character named Norwood in here, who's this guy from Texas, and he's just an absolutely hilarious main character because he's a well-meaning guy. He's very friendly, but he's also kind of clueless about a lot. He's kind of ignorant to a lot of things. It's just very funny. The basic gist of this, and I'm pretty sure it takes place in the time period this was written, so 66. Um, he basically, his buddy owes him $70, and you have a road novel. He travels across the country to try to get his $70 back. It's just so damn funny. Every setup in here, is very episodic in nature, as these picaresque novels often are. Each chapter is like, what is he going to get into this time? A new cast of characters come in and out. But pay attention because there are little throwbacks throughout the book, little tiny things. It's very cleverly written. That's really the gist of it. I don't want to get too much more into that because it's fun to just read it on your own. You don't want to know a lot about this book going in, and you don't need to. It's simple, it flies by, but like I said, very well written. The two things I like best about Portis so far, having read two of his books, his dialogue is incredibly well written and very authentic sounding, and I guess that could go into that he seems to um, be able to write in the time period authentically, which people often say that he was so good at writing authentic Southern dialogue. Which I'm not from the South. I've lived in the South, certainly not during this time period, but he definitely captures the nuances of how people speak and talk to each other and act in a very authentic way. But also in True Grit, for instance, he's able to capture the like 1870s kind of style very well. Uh, so I think that's probably one of his very big strengths. But in addition, is just humor. His humor is dry, not always dry, but it's actually more dry in True Grit. But it's just this book is funny on every page, and I'm not exaggerating. Every page of this book has a joke on it, and it's not tiresome. It's just so funny. Sometimes the jokes are set up pages beforehand. Sometimes they just come and go and come and go. It's so damn funny. I don't have anything really else to say. Every character in here is hilarious. The main character is hilarious. The whole damn thing is funny. It actually reminds me a bit of like Coen Brothers movies. How, like, for instance, like Fargo, or particularly the Fargo television, this reminded me of. Not because it's a crime novel or anything, but just that sort of like large cast of characters. You kind of have a main character, but everybody kind of weaves into each other. And I wonder if he explores that style of storytelling. Obviously, this came before the Coen Brothers films, but if he explores that style of storytelling in his other books. If you're going to read this, which I highly recommend you do, it is super good. And if you've read like True Grit, for instance, and not this, this is a little bit of a more lighthearted read than True Grit, although True Grit isn't particularly heavy, although it does have different themes, different styles of books. This is just a funny road novel, and True Grit is more of a Western, but just pick this version up. It's like $30, and it has every single book he's written and a bunch of other stuff. And in general, I just find that if you're going to pick up a book, look and see if Library of America like has a version of that American author, because it's probably a better bet. You'll get a bunch of their books and other stuff in a version of a book that will outlive you for sure if you take care of it. So yeah, that's Norwood by Charles Portis. I cannot wait to read his other books. He really warrants continuing to read him. Norwood is only 110 pages, so it's a very quick read, and most of his books are very short. So yeah, I just can't wait to get going with the next one. The next book in here is The Dog of the South, which people consider to be his funniest novel. I've even heard people say it's the funniest book they've ever read, so I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, it's just wonderful. I love Charles Portis, man. I love him, love him. Very good author. I'm glad I found him. Can't say much more than that. So, yeah, that's that. If you've read this, let me know what you thought about it. I thought it was great. I thought it captured that kind of time period very well, warts and all. The characters during a time period, particularly being from the South, like there's a lot of like racial things that they say. And you can tell when they're saying it that they're not even meaning it with mean spiritedness. It's like they just had this kind of like bias inherent in their culture at the time. I mean, all over the place, but yeah, it's just interesting. All right, peace out. Have a good one.